From the Lower Colorado River Authority, this is Wavelength.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the April edition of Wavelength. Well, the Texas legislature has been meeting since January, and some of the laws that stand to be amended could have a dramatic impact on the LCRA. So we sat down with General Manager Mark Rose recently and asked him about those changes.
We knew in the beginning that this session was going to be one of dramatic change, and those expectations are being lived up to. The legislature is reviewing the PUC bill now, and it appears that it will contain significant change. What we've been doing is fighting for the cause, if you will. What's happening is the industry is being partially deregulated. It appears that there will not be retail wheeling, where you can wheel from one business to any power company in the state, but that there will be significant wholesale deregulation, which means that exempt wholesale generators, independent power producers, they're going to be able to come in and compete on a new deregulated wholesale market. Well, guess what? That's us. We're nothing but wholesale. So it is imperative that we be deregulated and that we be given the opportunity to compete with these other utilities. To me, what's fascinating, the question has not been whether or not we ought to compete, but on what basis. So we have successfully, as of the end of last week, negotiated what we call the LCRA amendment, and the investor-owned utilities have signed off on it, and as well as the independent power producers. And under this new model, we would be deregulated from the PUC on a wholesale basis. So we would be able, in our existing service territory, we would be deregulated and could raise and lower our rates as we needed to. Outside of our current service area, we would have the ability to set up our own not-for-profit corporation in order to be able to sell power to other utilities in Texas. Now, this will be a unique not-for-profit corporation in that it would pay taxes. But believe it or not, a not-for-profit corporation can pay taxes. So we would form this corporation, and we would be able to sell to other utilities across the state. This will help us hold on to our revenue potential. So if this agreement goes forward, we're going to be in excellent shape to compete in the future, and that's been our goal. We've never been afraid of competition, but we've wanted to make certain that we had equal access to this new market. Kind of goes like this. If you're going to leave everything alone, just like it is, that's fine. But if you're going to change it, well, then allow us to be a part of that change. Senator Armbruster has just been a tremendous representative for us, as well as the Lieutenant Governor. And I think, at least so far, our message has been heard, and we have equal status in the bill. Several of you have asked me, and many of our customers have raised the issue, well, wait a minute, what does it mean? LCRA is going to be deregulated, and we've got these long-term contracts, and we can just do anything we want to do with our rates? Well, it's really not that simple. We're not going to play gotcha with our customers. What we're going to do is, one, be a part of this new market. If we're not, we're in real trouble. If everybody else is deregulated and we remain the only regulated utility in Texas in a wholesale level, we can't respond. They can raise their rates up or down to try to entice a customer, and we'll have to go through a very expensive 6-month rate case to make that happen. The customers that I've talked to, they understand that dynamic, but there is some uneasiness, and I appreciate it, that they're taking some risk here. What I've said, and the board concurs in this, is that if we are deregulated, we're going to revisit our contracts. And we're going to look at our contracts with our customers, and we're going to say, what are the things that we need to put in our contract to make sure that they recognize that we're going to honor the rate freeze, we're going to keep the lease, and we're going to do the things that we said we were going to do. But in the end, what all this means is that we have to have an even stronger partnership with our customers. I think our customers understand that we have a little bit broader mission than a traditional utility. But on the other hand, we're spending their money. So we got to keep that balance of successfully carrying out the mandate of our mission and at the same time representing our customers. We can do that, and we can do it well. And if being deregulated helps us be more effective, then that's what we're going to see. But we're not going to abuse that prerogative, and we're going to write into the contract those protections that keep our customers satisfied that we're going to be reliable and responsible partners.
This may look like a death-defying rescue mission. It's actually a high-wire link to the future. LCRA has contracted with the Haverfield Corporation to string fiber optic cable atop our transmission towers from Mansfield Dam to Buchanan Dam. The fiber cable will allow high-speed communication and data transmission between LCRA facilities.
We will be able to help our Systems Operation and Control Center by getting them data in a different manner and faster. We'll be able to help with the transmission side of the business, I think, much better than maybe what we are doing now. By putting fiber optic technology, too, out there, we've got the potential of assisting our wholesale customers in many different ways. They are looking to different telecommunications possibilities to help them do their business.
This first section should be complete by June, but the cable will eventually run from Buchanan through Austin all the way to the Fayette Power Project in LaGrange, creating the telecommunication backbone for future technological systems.
Well, what we're looking at, Richard, today is what we call a compressed video technology, and what we're doing is taking an analog video signal and compressing it down and running it over a high-speed telephone communications line. And today we're using the link between the headquarters complex here on Lake Austin Boulevard and the service center on Montopolis. So we're using an internal LCRA microwave network to transport this video signal.
The future was on display at this Customer Technology Forum, sponsored by LCRA's Office of Information Technology. The forum provided an opportunity for LCRA's customers and officials from throughout the area to see firsthand the technical services available to them today and what may be just around the corner.
We think for the rural areas that technology is really the key to the future and the viability of those communities. Through the schools, the medical community, businesses being able to access services. The quality of life is really so much better in those communities that by accessing technology, people can work from the home, they can access distribution channels they might not otherwise be able to access, and so it makes those communities a lot more appealing. And we just felt like this was a good way to start.
People who work at LCRA in the information technology are probably real interested in getting information from their vendors, delegated lines.
One very popular demonstration was on the internet and how it is being used to bring our communities closer together.
We are using this to interconnect a number of LCRA's educational programs. 10 high schools connected. We're hooking up your chambers of commerce, and we'd like to extend it to public libraries and ag extension agents in your regional service center.
Software innovations were also on display from Microsoft and WordPerfect, as well as technical services available to our electric customers from the system metering department.
Well, you've probably heard the terms before: entitlement, empowerment, downsizing, outsourcing, and competition. But what do all these buzzwords of the 90s mean, and what's their impact on American business? Well, the answer to that question and many others can be found in this book, Danger in the Comfort Zone. According to the author, Dr. Judith Bardwick, the danger zone for any business is when its employees feel like they own their jobs. That, she says, breeds complacency and can result in the company losing its competitive edge. Now, how does all this affect the LCRA? Well, Dr. Bardwick shared her insight with 200 employees and summed it up for us this way. What's at risk if organizations don't change?
What's at risk is they're economically not viable. I mean, bottom line is entitlement practices are just enormously costly, Patrick. And if you're in an increasingly competitive milieu, you will not be competitive simply because whatever you're doing or selling costs too much.
Dr. Bardwick's presentation was captured on videotape and is available to employees on a loaner basis. Many departments at the LCRA have heeded the advice of Dr. Bardwick long before today. Take, for example, system metering.
We took the structure and just kind of flipped it on its head. Rather than having the manager at the top and the frontline employees at the bottom, we flipped it over. The manager's on the bottom, frontline employees are at the top, and at the very top are the wholesale customers and our internal customers.
But system metering didn't just change their organizational chart, they changed the whole way they approached their jobs, or they feared they might not have jobs at all. In just 2 years, they've cut their costs and improved services. In essence, they geared their whole department to what the customers told them they wanted.
They said they would like to know the cost of service before the work is done, and they also wanted a more streamlined billing process. So we thought if we were going to be successful in marketing our services, we would have to give our customers what they were asking for.
They developed a marketing plan for their technical services group and offered volume discounts. They promoted their meter testing facility and their calibration services. The employees in power production and load monitoring found new ways to generate revenue, and they cut costs in the rubber glove testing lab, and their business has doubled in the past year.
This is a customer we have bringing in about 60 or 70 pairs of gloves. They recently are a new customer of ours, and we're going to provide a rubber goods testing service for them. That will include the cleaning and dielectrical and inflating of the gloves so that we can assure that the rubber protective goods that they'll be using out on the hotlines doing their work is safe for their employees.
Not every department can do what system metering has done, but there are lessons that apply to everyone.
Well, I think you need to listen to what the customers are telling you, and if they are asking for a different process, then you need to provide them with that process or work towards that goal. That's what we've tried to do, is just provide our customers with the best service possible.
If you would like to know more about the services offered in system metering, call 1-800-776-5272, extension 6259.
Another beautiful summer day at Lake Travis, and thousands of visitors from all across the state come here to swim, fish, and boat. It is estimated that 500,000 people traveled to this lake last year. But with this increased usage comes a variety of problems: boating accidents, pollution, and crime. That's why the LCRA has teamed up with Travis and Burnett County Sheriff's Departments, Texas Parks and Wildlife, and marina owners to make the lake safer and more pleasant for everyone through a new program called Lake Watch. Modeled after the very successful Neighborhood Watch programs, Lake Watch is all about neighbors helping each other and law enforcement.
Our resources, as you know, are stretched thin on this lake. For Travis County, for example, we have 53 miles that we patrol on Lake Travis, and for us, this is the fastest growing area of Travis County, and in fact, this has the highest level of activity of anywhere in Travis County.
And as much as the neighbors that we have on Lake Travis have a 65-mile backyard, it's important that we all contribute our resources to see if we can't resolve some of the problems that we're having with crime as well as boating accidents on our lake.
If the Lake Watch program is successful here, it will be expanded to include the other Highland lakes. If you are interested in organizing your Lake Travis neighborhood, call the LCRA Watch Coordinator at 473-3286.
Ah, the golden years. Plenty of golf, maybe a little fishing, and of course, plenty of travel. Maybe even buy that motorhome you've always dreamed of. Well, those are all great ideas, but if you haven't planned for your retirement properly, they'll always remain as just a dream. But this seminar, which is sponsored by the Human Resources Department, is designed to help employees achieve those retirement goals.
The retirement planning program is really a great opportunity for employees that have been thinking about retiring to come to the program, gather information, and really then make an informed decision about retirement. And considering when you retire is probably one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your life, we want to give employees as much information as possible.
Everything from investment options to Social Security is covered. For employees like W.J. Rogers, the seminar relieved some of his fears and raised new ones.
It seemed like that I need to talk to a broker, for one thing.
For others, it was a chance to see how the new Rule of 80 would affect them.
Well, what it's done for me is it's made me, I'm going to sit down with some numbers and really look at if this is really feasible for me. Because before, you know, when you say, oh, the Rule of 80, good, I can retire in 2 years. Well, maybe that's not financially possible at this moment. And this is kind of bringing it all home and giving me some options to look at and what I'll have to do to make it become a reality.
The seminar was so successful that more are planned, and there is also one designed to help employees who are midway through their careers. All of it geared to help this become a reality. Hundreds of LCRA employees are required to wear steel-toed shoes, and if you've ever wondered if they really work, pay attention to this next story. Bobby Cervenka has worked as a welder for the LCRA 9.5 years. Most of the time, he's cutting 2-inch thick plates of steel into pieces that are used in the construction of transmission towers. On February 23rd, Bobby was using this automatic track cutting torch to cut a piece of steel when something terrible happened.
I was doing fine until I made one cut and the horse began to raise up off the ground. My clamp gave way that I had it clamped off there, and it gave way. I went to grab the track torch and I just didn't make it out of the way of the path of the metal. It hit the ground and fell and ended up coming right across my boot.
The plate weighed 400 pounds and fell 31 inches. The only thing that saved his foot from being crushed were his steel-toed boots.
Some people may think Bobby was lucky today that he wore his safety-toe shoes and protected his foot, but it wasn't by luck, it was by design. The safety policy requiring people to wear safety-toe footwear is to protect employees when such incidents like this occurred. If he hadn't been wearing that, his toe would have been squished like a grape.
I was one of those people. I used to say, you know, I never drop anything right on my steel toe. It always hits on the bridge of my foot or arch of my foot. And I've changed my philosophy because, like I said, if I wasn't wearing them, if they didn't force me to wear them, I wouldn't have worn them, and then I'd have lost my toes.
Right now, we'd like to take you to South Central Texas, to a community that has been an electric customer of the LCRA since 1938. Now, this was a real Old West town with freight wagons, saloons, six-shooters, and cowboys. Thousands of head of cattle started their trek north on the Chisholm Trail from this town, whose name in Spanish means rawhide. Let's go now to the city of Cuero. Cuero was founded in 1873. That same year, the first passenger train from Indianola arrived in town. One of the most unusual events in Texas started here in Cuero back in 1912, when local growers would drive thousands of live turkeys through the city streets to market. It attracted so much attention, it became an annual event known as the Turkey Trot. Today, the live turkeys are gone, but each October, Cuero still celebrates its history with Turkey Fest. Cuero now has a population of over 7,000, and its bustling downtown district is an interesting mix of new buildings and significant historical structures.
That's not a capital purchase.
City Manager John Trahan and his staff are busy preparing next year's budget for this growing community.
Cuero is healthy. It is growing. It's a slow, stable growth as I see it. In that, again, I have to relate back to the prison facility that was built. They have stimulated various other businesses to relocate. We've seen activity downtown. We've seen activity on the outskirts, and we continue to see the overall trend improving. things such as sales tax. We see that continue to grow since they started building the prison.
The Clarence N. Stevenson Unit was opened in Cuero by the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in 1984 and now has a capacity of 1,300 inmates and employs over 300 people. The prison has given the local economy quite a boost. LCRA's Customer and Community Relations Department assisted Cuero officials during the selection process for the new prison.
In similar situations, having a resource available, such as what I mentioned with LCRA contributing to the economic development efforts in Cuero, it's definitely an asset to the community.
Providing reliable utility services is at the heart of any community's efforts to attract new business, and in Cuero, customer service is a top priority.
I do two things here in Cuero. I sell electricity and I service what I sell. I don't do anything else. That's it. But those two things, it's safety first and service always. And with that, I can provide the best thing I can for these customers here to have a reliable and efficient source of electricity. And I get that electricity from LCRA, and I'd be happy to tell people that any time of the day.
Baker and his crew are in the process of upgrading the entire electric system in Cuero, much of which was wired in the 1920s and 30s. He says the support they receive from the LCRA is essential in his job.
We get everything from our safety glasses, we buy our rubber gloves, we have our rubber gloves tested there, our line hose are tested by LCRA. If I have an environmental question, I call LCRA. If I have a problem at a substation, LCRA handles it. They handle all our substation work, the work on our reclosers. LCRA does it all for us.
Cuero is a city in touch with its past, but with an eye on the future. For information about the very popular tours of Cuero's historic homes and churches, contact the Cuero Chamber of Commerce and Agriculture.
Well, it's time once again for another lesson in philosophy with our own Tom Glenn, who's always fishing for ideas.
Well, good afternoon and howdy from Smithville. I'm down here on the banks of the Colorado River in the Vernon L. Richards Riverbend Park, one of the newest and I might add more beautiful additions to the Colorado River trails. Of course, I can't confirm it for sure, but some of the old timers around Smithville tell me before Adam and Eve sinned that everybody lived down here in what's now the park. Of course, it's a beautiful day in Smithville, and it's April and it's springtime. And of course, spring, that's the time of year when a young man's fancy turns to thoughts of paying their taxes. Of course, it seems like if I do happen to make any money, I got to give it all to government. And of course, they say they're gonna give it all back to me when I turn 65. That's kind of like giving the squirrel back his nuts after he's lost all his teeth. But I didn't come down here to get on the soapbox or make no speech, so I come down to see if the catfish are cooperating. So I think I'm gonna mosey on down, see if I can catch me some supper. So this is old Supreme Commander saying, you know, if you really think about it, it wasn't an apple in that tree that caused the problems. It was that pear on the ground. We'll catch you next time.
Well, that's it for this edition of Wavelength. Be sure to watch next month as we bring you highlights of April Riverfest on the Colorado. We'll see you then.